Okay, in section 7.3, we are going to multiply a monomial and a polynomial. Now, we have done this before because this is a monomial and this is a polynomial. So we're basically doing the distributive property, but there will be more variables and more exponents involved. So as a reminder, when you multiply two monomials, you multiply the coefficients and you add the exponents. So let's look at example 1. We're multiplying a monomial by a polynomial, which is really the distributive property. So in this case, 5 times 2 is 10. I keep the x to the second. Good. Let me go to the next one. Okay, I'll bring down the minus. 5 times 8 is 40. And then I keep the x, and then I'm done. There's no like terms because x squared and x are not like terms. Okay, for example 2, I'm doing 2x to the third times 5x to the seventh plus 4x minus 11. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and distribute. 2 times 5 is 10. Because there are x's in the monomial, and over here, x to the third times x to the seventh, I'm going to add the exponents. So now I have x to the 3 plus 7, 10. I'm going to go to the next one. Multiply the coefficients. 2 times 4 is 8. And then add the exponents. 3 plus 1 makes it x to the fourth. I'll bring down the minus. 2 times 11 is 22. And I will keep the x to the third there. There are no like terms, so this is as simplified as it will get. I'm going to go ahead. Same. I'm doing still doing distributive property, just being careful with my exponents. 4 times 7 is 28. X times x is x to the 1 plus 1, x to the second. Okay, for the next one, 4 times 3 is 12. And then if I do x times y, that's just xy. Okay, 4 times minus 5 is minus 20, and then I need to keep the x on it from the 4x. And none of these are like terms, so I'm done. Okay, next one, let's try to distribute. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. X to the 1 plus 2 gives me x to the third. Okay, negative 5 times minus 4 makes this positive. 5 times 4 is 20. X to the 1 plus another 1, 2. And then negative 5 times 1 is negative 5, and I'll just keep the x on it that I distributed. None of them are like terms. Done. Okay. For example 5, negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. N to the 2 plus 5 is 7. Negative 3 times minus 6, negative times a minus changes to a positive. 3 times 6 is 18. N to the 2 plus 3, 5. Negative 3 times 4, negative 12. N to the 2 plus this extra one here gives me 3. Negative 3 times negative 1 turns to positive 3, and I'll keep the n to the second on it. Okay, final answer. And there were 4 terms inside the parentheses, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 terms on my answer. Okay, now I'm just going to add some extra variables to make sure you're being extra careful. Okay, so let's look at this. The only coefficient is a 7, so I'll just keep this 7. But there's more than one base, so I see, let's start with the x's. For the x's, I see 2 plus 2, which will give me 4, but there's also y's. So for the y's, what do I have? A 1 plus a 3, which will give me 4. So my first term is 7x to the fourth, y to the fourth. Next one. Okay. The only coefficient is a minus 5, so I will keep that the same. For the x's, I have 2 plus 4, so that's 6. For the y's, I have 1 plus 1, so now I'm at y to the second. Okay. For the third term, I'll keep the minus 11 there. Let's see, for the x's, I have 2 out here, none here, so it'll stay 2. Okay, for the y's, I have 1 here, 2 here, so 1 plus 2 will give me 3. Okay, this is my final answer. Since there was a trinomial in the parentheses, there's a trinomial for my answer. Okay, for example 7, I'm just going to be careful. There's just a lot of variables, so this, I'll keep the 5. X to the 1 plus 2 gives me 3. Oh, and there is a little y over here, so I'll keep the y here. Okay, minus 5 times 3 is 15. See, x, so that's 1 plus 1, x to the second, and then for the y's, I have 1 plus 1, y to the second, plus, keep the 5 there. There's an x there, and then for the y's, I have 1 plus 2 more, so that's y to the third. And these are all different terms because they all have x, y's, but they all have different exponents. This is x to the third y, this is x to the second y to the second, so they don't match. Okay, example 8, I'm just kind of throwing everything at you to see if you can do it. Okay, so 8 times negative 8, x to the 1 plus 3 is 4. And I do have those y to the seconds that I'll keep. 8 times 2 is 16. X to the 1 plus 2 is 3. Y to the 2 plus 1 is 3. And then 8 times negative 5 is negative 40. I keep the x. Y to the, I have a 2 plus a 6, and that gives me 8. Okay, that's about as I will make it for distributing the monomial. But of course, we're eventually going to add some like terms, which we already know how to do. But now that we are adding some extra exponents, we're just going to practice it a little. It's going to be really helpful when we start multiplying polynomials. Okay, so the directions say distribute, then combine the like terms. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and distribute. 3 times 2, 6x minus 21. And let me distribute this. Plus 5x, 5 times 1, minus 5. Okay, let's see, like terms. Oh yeah, 6x plus 5x are like terms. Negative 21, negative 5 adds up to negative 26. And then this is my final answer. It doesn't say it has to be in standard form, but it is always nice to write it in standard form. And sometimes it's easier too. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and look at the next one. Distribute first, so 2 times 3, 6x. 2 times 11 is 22. And then if I distribute the negative 3, negative 3x, and then negative 3 with a minus turns it to plus 12. Again, look for the like terms. 6x minus 3x is positive 3x. 22 plus 12 is 34. So 3x plus 34 is my final answer. Okay, now a couple with some exponents. Okay, this 2 times 3 is 6. X times x is x to the second. Minus 2 times 7 is 14, and I'm going to keep an x on it. Okay, let's keep going. So plus 4x plus 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, now the 6x to the second is the only x to the second. Negative 14x plus 4x is like terms, so that's negative, and then if I subtract 10x, and then the positive 8 stays at the end. This is standard form. This is a nice answer. Okay, last one. Okay, distribute x times x, 1, 1, x to the second, x times 7 is 7x, minus 2x, minus 2 times minus 4 turns it to a positive, 2 times 4, 8. Okay, the x to the second is the only squared term I see. Minus 7 and minus 2 add up to minus 9x, and then the positive 8 comes down since it has no like terms, and then this is my final answer.